How can you play a perfect solo cash cup? This is the question you've probably asked yourself before, and today I'll be giving you the answers. To answer this question, I played the solo cash cup myself and realized I did not have the answers. So as always, I turn to the compete tab to solve my problem, and this is where Spinks comes in. But not this Spinks, this one.
Let's go! I'm so good! They don't make them like me no more!
In the latest Solo Victory Cup finals, Spinks was able to win both of his games, securing $200, and today, we'll look at how he was able to stay so consistent. Before we get into the gameplay, let's set up some simple ground rules for what you need to make money in the solo finals. A lot of people try to overcomplicate it, but all you need to win a solo finals game is good materials, a rocket ram, and slurp juice or exotic slap splashes. With these three things in mind, this will help us understand Spinks' thought process throughout the gameplay, and without further ado, let's get right into it. Right off the bat, Spinks is outdropped by console Ozzy Antics and is forced to swerve off his drop. Luckily for him, this area isn't very contested, so he's able to get up to max HP using slurp plants before continuing his loot route. While he's waiting, he's able to get 2 keys and spends the next few minutes looking for extra loot at a key chest, which leads him into his first fight. This fight ends pretty quickly because his opponent makes a mistake of playing too passive. He lets Spinks claim a lot of his builds without applying any pressure back, and instead of creating more space and repositioning, he walks straight into Spinks' builds and is cleaned up pretty quickly. We're only in the second zone in the game, but Spinks has already managed to check 2 of the 3 boxes we established earlier, already having a rocket ram and max materials. And with the forecast tower about to spawn, he's looking to secure the 3 for 3. Unfortunately for him, things wouldn't be that easy. There's already a player setting up for this tower, and Spinks looks to fight the player off of it, but he's only able to do about 20 damage, and he takes 100 in return. He responds to this appropriately by creating a lot of space in hard math, but while he's healing up, a third party manages to come in, take the key card and slurp juices. When most of his materials and heals gone, Spinks makes the best play possible, which is to simply do nothing. He waits for the situation to de-escalate, and once he realizes he has no chance of getting forecast, he simply disengages and looks to recover his game. He looks to catch a few players off guard in the jungle, but ultimately deems this as too risky and decides to play for his cash instead. He uses his rocket ram to get to the cache completely uncontested, and his luck finally turns around, getting a Heisted Maven out of the key chest. The Heisted Maven is undoubtedly my favorite gun for solos right now, and I'll explain why throughout the video. After a quick refarm, for the first time this game, Spinks has all the essentials he needs, and he boxes up here. And if you're anything like me, you're asking why. What's so good about this position? The best answer I can give to this question is that this is a low traffic area. This means not many people are rotating in and out of here, so this is a good stopping place to make sure he doesn't use any of the essentials we named earlier. Now that there are 2 partial zones and 4 moving zones, the odds of getting a good spot early on in the game and being able to sit there into the end game have diminished almost entirely. Knowing this, there's no point of trying to play for the perfect spot. Instead, Spinks simply picks a spot near the center of zone where he knows he won't be griefed. The rest of his rotations are pretty simple. Since he's so deep in the zone in the low traffic area, he's able to instantly rotate on foot and easily get a position in the center of 4th and 5th zone. He does the same exact thing for zone 6 and 7, but he makes sure to stop on the edge to give himself a chance to pull those partial zones. It's important to note that he makes these rotates on foot and not with his rocket ram, as this will put him at an unnecessary risk of dying. Since he got the 7th zone early, he's able to look back and pick up an easy refresh onto a player already being focused, securing himself more slurp juice and capping off his materials before the endgame. Now we're into the important part of the game, the endgame, and it's already off to a bad start with Spinks pulling a max distance 8th zone. However, Spinks is able to easily get there by using this simple rocket ram strat. Spinks stands at the back corner of his box and edits the closest tile of his cone. He then moves towards the middle of the box and resets his cone to where he's phasing it. From here, he lets the cone fully build out before starting his rocket animation, crouching, and then moving forward to be fully protected inside of his cone. A lot of people make the mistake of setting this up last second and end up taking damage because of it, but Spinks makes sure he's protected by letting the cone fully build out. Immediately after he lands, he boxes himself up and puts himself in the cone to ensure his safety before completing the rest of this rotate on foot. By rotating short distances, it's good to go for awareness checks on players around you. Spinks does this here, and due to the fast fire rate of the Maven, he's able to hit this player for 80 damage and force a 50-50 in the box, yet again abusing the fast fire rate of the Maven to secure a free kill. Next zone pulls far yet again, and he's able to rocket ram extremely low to the ground and layer up to ensure he doesn't get suffocated under this hill later on. Once he's uphill, he makes 1 box and puts himself in the cone again. This is a pattern we've seen from him a lot. You'll notice he never makes unnecessary edits or looks for kills he doesn't need, because this is an easy way to get awareness check and have your game ended for no reason. Instead, he puts himself in the cone to make sure he's not taking any unnecessary damage from rocket rammers nearby, before using the exact same cone trick that we showed earlier to get to front side of zone. Going into second move, Spinks makes his first mistake by running into the open without his rocket ram being ready. This is a mistake because he pre-popped his slurp juice and could have easily rocket ram from the safety of his box after taking only a few zone ticks. Interestingly enough, the information he gets from this play actually wins him the game. He rockets straight up and realizes nobody's playing high ground. He doesn't go for it straight away, but after layering up, he notices height is still up for grabs, so he tries to take it here. Unfortunately for him, another player has the same intention, so he looks to take this fight, which gets him third partied and leaves him 1 HP and in desperate need of a refresh. Luckily for him, he's still checking two of the boxes we established earlier, so he's able to use his slurp juice to heal back up and rocket himself to the front side of low ground where it'll be easier for him to find the refresh. After a few attempts, he's able to get a refresh on the backside of zone, yet again using the Maven properly by going for an easy double pump. This refresh gives him all he needs to win the game, so he uses these mats to establish himself on the high layer, and with zone pulling downhill, this is the perfect time for him to take height. He's able to look up and get an easy spray kill on the high ground player, and shortly after, secure the top 2. But now comes the hard part of the final 1v1. Spinks is able to start off this fight with a lot of damage, and he makes the best play possible by looking to close the gap and end the game. He notices his opponent leaves the wall open, and instead of trying to claim piece control or do some flashy mechanics, he simply plays for the shot to catch the opponent off guard, but unfortunately this doesn't work. After a while, Spinks realizes he's not going to be able to get much damage, so he switches his approach and starts to play slower, and at this point he realizes that the zone pulls uphill. From here, the other player is no longer fighting him, but the terrain of the map, so Spinks uses the little material he has left to trap this player in the zone and make his life a lot harder, and this results in him panicking and Spinks getting the free kill. There were a lot of notes that couldn't make it into this VOD review, so if you want to see how I turned that 5,000 placement to a top 100 in the next week, make sure to join my VODs Discord, link in the description. Also, if you made it this far, make sure to subscribe, like the video, and comment a green heart so I know you made it all the way.
That was you, Sir Dion? That just blobbed me? You were the Blobinator? You're a fucking dingus, bruh.